Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, our group will present about export import management. Which is our group has the Netherlands country for the export import analysis. So, my group member is me, myself, Ibn Radi bin Azman, and Adibah binti Abdul Qadir, and Peggy Adam Lukman bin Abdul Rahman, Abdul Muhammad bin Abdul Qadir, and Nur Ifah Bashirah bin Nur Hisham. Next, we go for the introduction. So, for the introduction, Netherlands is located on the Europe continent, which is the country neighborhood border is German and Belgium. Then for the land area covered, the Netherlands is uh, land area is 33,722 20 kilometers square with the population around 17,131 17,131,474 people. Uh, in addition, for the Netherlands, also known as Holland, then for the capital city for the which also the largest city in Netherlands is Amsterdam. For the government system in Netherlands, and they have the parliamentary constitutional monarchy where the monarch is King William Alexander and the prime minister is Mark Rutte. For the language they use in Netherlands, they use the Dutch, and some of the people they communicate in Frisian dialect. And for the co-official language in Netherlands is English. Then for the ethnicity in Netherlands, they have 77.39% is Dutch. For the other European is 9.88%. For the Turk, 2.34%. Moroccan, 2.29%. Malaccan and other Indonesian is 2.13%. 2.05% is for the Surinamese, and for the Dutch Caribbean is 0.90%. For the others America is 0.23%. So for the religion in the Netherlands, 50.7% were non-religious, and 23.6% is Roman Catholic, 14.9% is Reformed or Lutheran. 5.1% were Islam and 5.6% were others religion. Then for the export and import activities they have in Netherlands, for the total export reached 45 billion in March 2020, which is decreased around 5.4% year of year. And for the total goods, next slide. For the total good, for the total good more produced product they export, they have export the machinery including computer, mineral fuel including oils, electrical machinery equipment, and medical apparatus. Then for the country, they have that for the export is Belgium, German, France, United Kingdom, United States, Italy, Japan, and China. And for the import recorded on March 2020, the total import is 40.6 billion. And for the most demand product for the import is fuel, crude and refined fuel, machinery such as industrial machinery, and then for the pharmaceutical and electronic. For the country, they involved in this import sector from the Netherlands is Germany, Belgium, China, United Kingdom, United States, Russia, and Italy. Then for the challenge and problem and also for the recommendation, I will proceed for my group member. For the challenge one, please present.
Okay, so now we go to the first challenge. So the first challenge is the Netherlands has an open market that is highly competitive, where it involves many exporters and importers across the globe. The country has a popular market called the Exim market. It offers a variety of available products such as exotic fruit, flowers, clothes, computer products, confectionery, shoes, materials, and fish. The country also has many multinational companies and MNC that have their own offices in the country. Example of big international companies that invest in the Netherlands is Rakuten Medical. It is US-based country that support the country in science and health. And the next one is Google and then Netflix. The country offers both national and international competition for companies looking to break into the market. These challenges has led to stress for many exporters or importers to sustain their business in the country. Selected chapter for this challenge is chapter 4, export procedure. Based on the chapter, multinational companies should first know how to search for an overseas buyer by conducting market research, participate in international exhibition, and using internet to create website for their own business. So multinational companies should know custom procedure that have two stages. First, MNCs, multinational companies must declare presence of the goods. Secondly, if the case of good exported by rail, post A or C, the custom office of Exim may be the office competent. Standard 2020 added, MNC needs to choose shipments whether by air or sea or land or post in the Netherlands. Okay, so MNC also need to know documentation requirement. Usually certificates and license required for exportation of goods and services is uniform by all WTO countries in almost all areas. Documentation needs such as custom entry document, custom declaration, export license, purchase order or letter of credit, commercial invoice, packing list, certificate of origin, and insurance certificate. Okay, so that's all for my part. So continue to the next challenges.
Now, I would like to discuss the problem related with Chapter 3, Export Documentation and Step, which is highly document-oriented. First of all, the challenge of doing business in Netherlands is trade barrier. Netherlands government has the right to use various trade policy tools, such as import tariff to protect those domestic companies from foreign competition. Secondly, the challenge of doing business in Netherlands is standard operating procedure. The company must register with the local Chamber of Commerce and local tax authority. Besides, the processing of construction permit in Netherlands is very time-consuming. It takes up to 150 days because there are 14 procedures that need to be sorted out. Although the financial environment in Netherlands is stable, there is no public registration authority, which makes it difficult to obtain credit. Lastly, confusing tax are also the difficulty that export companies may face when paying tax. On average, companies spend 127 hours a year processing 9 types of corporate tax. For companies unfamiliar with the local financial environment, medical insurance payment is the most time-consuming financial responsibility. Next. The documentation procedure for export goods are almost the same in all countries and may only differ slightly due to the requirement of local country. The documents required for exporting and importing in Netherlands are custom entry document, bill of lading, custom declarations, export license, purchase order or letter of credit, commercial invoice come packing list, certificate of origins, and insurance certificates. Next. For the recommendation, first, the company needs to register with the Dutch Chamber of Commerce and the Dutch Tax and Customs Administration. When importing and exporting in Netherlands, European Community Integrated Tariff Code is required for specific products. In addition, importer or exporter must provide an EORI number to register and identify economic operator. All transporter needs to use a UNI reference number in all electronic communications with customs and other government agencies involved in international trade. Lastly, the company must complete the entry summary statement. Therefore, the importer can declare the goods by showing the complete site administrative document to Netherlands Customs. Next, I will pass to the next presenter.
Okay, so it will my turn to present. So I will present about challenge 3, exporting activities and practices to Netherlands. So this challenge is based on chapter 2, which is the export activities. Chapter 2 discuss the export strategy for organization, as there are several ways to gauge the overseas market potential of products and services. In market that differ significantly from the domestic market, some products may have limited potential. Then, to understand the formulation of a successful export strategy, there are research on characteristics of exporters lead to some conclusion. The probability of being an exporter increases with the size of the company. Besides that, in this chapter, discuss the 4 major financial issues related to exporting and how to sourcing strategy work to achieve cost competitiveness. So, export activities in Netherlands. In Netherlands, key trade partners for Dutch is Germany, Belgium, United Kingdom, United States, France, Italy, China, and Russia. In Asia, China is the main destination. Largest industrial sector is food and beverages for the Dutch market. Other than that is tourism, service, electrical goods, machinery, metallurgy, and chemical. Okay, so for the challenge, exporting activities and practices to Netherlands is Dutch market is practicing open market. But for your information, for Netherlands, there are not much major challenges in exporting activities and practices in the Dutch market, as the country is similar to any other European country. However, as we know, the Dutch market is practicing open market, hence there are many competition from both domestic and international companies. Besides that, the challenges for the Dutch market is language is the problem. Language is some problem that may face by the exporters to penetrate the Dutch market. Okay, for the recommended solution, first, finding the right importer. Continuously focus when you choose to work with a shipper or another and put forth a valiant effort to maintain a strategic distance from any scam risk. Your right importer can assist you with finding a trustful merchant. Second, hire a translator. The principle exchanging language can be utilized in English, but in any cases, numerous nations does not practice English as their national language, so the trade partners have difficulties to communicate. So hiring a translator would be the best step to overcome the language barrier. Okay, that's all from me. Proceed to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Abdul Mohimin bin Abdul Khalid. Next, I'm going to continue explaining on challenges number 4, which is security on the timing of receiving payments in Netherlands. So first of all these exporting companies in Netherlands or any exporting companies in the world are exposed to the payment risk in the international trade that cause uncertainty over the timing of receiving payments from foreign buyer, which is the importer. In export trading, generally revenue is recognized when the company satisfies a performance obligation by transferring a promised good or service to the customer, which is when the customer obtains control over the goods or service. All business wants to get paid in full and on time. For any exporters, there may be additional challenges when dealing with foreign customers thousands of miles away. Okay, next. So what are the solutions for this challenge? Okay, the solution number one is cash in advance, which is the most ideal for exporters. This is because cash in advance eliminates problems of uncertainty over payments, which is made immediately. In normal exporting activity, the cash in advance payment terms enables an exporter to avoid credit risk because payment is received before the ownership of the good is transferred to the buyer. For the foreign buyer, they may be concerned with the risk that the goods may not be sent if payment is made in advance. The second solution is letters of credit, or also known as LC, which provide the most secure instrument available to international traders. An LC is a commitment by a bank on behalf of the buyer that payment will be made to the exporter, provided that the terms and conditions stated in the LC have been met, as verified through the presentation of all required documents. An LC gives better protection to the buyers since no payment obligation should be met until the goods have been shipped as promised. The secure letters of credits are irreversible, meaning that without both parties' agreement, it cannot be changed. Okay, next method is called documentary collections, or also called as side draft. It is a transaction where the exporter delivers the collection of the payment for a sale to its bank, which is the forwarding bank, that sends the document that its buyer needs to the importer's bank, also called as collecting bank, which instructions to release the document to the buyer for payment. Funds are received from the importer and forwarded to the exporter through the banks involved in the collections in exchange of those documents. Last but not least is the open account transaction, where a sale is considered when done when the goods are shipped and delivered before the payment is due, which in international trade sales, it is typically in 30, 60, or 90 days. To seek extra protection when offering open account terms, exporters in Netherlands can use export credit insurance. Okay, next I'll pass to my group mate. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Ika Bashir from Indonesia. And now I want to present about the fifth challenge that we related it with chapter 10 about the logistics and transportation mode characteristics. Okay, first of all, Netherlands was known as a hub for foreign-owned logistics, and their provinces, which is Holland, become the gateway to Europe and home. On top of that, they offer to provide the logistic services and connected with a large network of railways, roads, pipelines, and inland waterways. They also cut a higher score for the transportation infrastructure in Europe, especially for the sea and air transportation. However, Netherlands also has got some problems with their logistics and transportation mode, which is in handling shipping containers. This is because increasing in container volumes make all countries' infrastructures not always keep with the Netherlands. And their ships also has difficulty to dock when water level is low, especially for the deep sea ships. And they also has had faced the problems with their capacity restrictions by federal government for air transportation. This is because they has reached maximums of 500,000 movements per day. And this has become worse when the rise of individual parcels happen on low commodity value as rather than traditional high value bulk goods. Okay, for the solutions is first, Netherlands needs to enhance their port facilities for availability of infrastructures, which is counteract the bottleneck in improvement process at its terminal. They also need to handle their container volumes as many as possible with the help of software platform for easy to access the container data and tracking. Because of the ships cannot do dock in the low water level, they need to move goods so back to trucking, which is this makes the fridge cannot be delivered to the customer. They need to um, select the right mode of transportation, appropriate transportation, with the considered of the factor of the locations, time, and the cost. Other than that, they need to increase the capacity in the transport in the air transport, partly in by incorporating more air cargo into passenger flight. And besides that, they need to enhance the information technology, which need to enable tracking the cargo and access arrival time. And they need to collaborate with smart cargo manport program to increase their digital information exchange, and this can make logistic qualities improvement. So that's all for me.
Okay. For the conclusion, based on the illustration and discussion on Netherlands export-import activities in this task, we conclude that Netherlands, which has a very open market, experienced rapid expansion for a previous couple of years based on the GDP stated. It have a high densities of both population and export-import activities that have led to very intense pressure on the country. It will it will be necessary for the Netherlands to implement in order to overcome these challenges or problems that stated in previous topics with the solution and recommendation proposed as well. Thus, it could help strengthen the Netherlands economic growth in context of sustainable of open market. That's all from our group. Thank you.